Already recording, and then
Okay.
And then the list is here. But yeah, you're just gonna say my name.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll shut the door.
Okay. So it is on. You can hear me. And we're using the microphone because we're recording these. And so I think that will help the recording. Yes. Hi, I'm Linda Hall. I am the chair of the English department. That includes our BA in English with an emphasis in journalism or an emphasis in literature, rhetoric, and cultural studies, and our MA in English and our MFA in creative writing. So we have a large conglomeration of students and faculty, and conglomeration is probably a better word for our faculty than our students. But welcome to our annual poetry reading for the MFA this year. And I know that if Anna were able to be here, she's fine. She's just out of the state right now. But if she were able to be here, she'd go on and on about stuff that I don't really know about. So I just want to welcome you to, if you're here as a guest or a supporter of one of our readers tonight, then welcome. If you're part of the class, you're part of the group, you're part of the cohort, then you're always here. So first, I will introduce your instructor, your professor, your poet inspirer, Genevieve Kaplan, and she will introduce our first poet. And then I think each of you are to introduce the next one. So there's a handy cheat sheet up here. So you don't have to remember who comes after you. And we'll take a break somewhere along the way to grab some more snacks if you want, and welcome. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you, Linda. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. And thank you for all of you for coming as well. And I'd also like to say thanks in advance to all of our readers, our brave readers who are going to share their work with us. I'm very excited to hear it. I know that if Anna were here tonight, she would remind us to, first of all, silence our cell phones. So if you haven't done that yet, please do that. And then I did also want to remind everyone that this event is recorded along with the rest of the Tabula Poetica series, so it will later be on YouTube forever. And with that, I'm going to kick us off with a new poem that I wrote. So it's quite new. It is a found poem, a collage poem, a sort of semi-cento that I created using language from this semester's techniques in poetry writing class, which I taught. So some of the language comes from my students' Obad poems. And as you know, Obad poems are sort of like daybreak morning songs, lovers parting poems. And then the other language also comes from my students. And it comes from peer responses and ideas from our poetry discussion boards. So I had a good time writing it. I hope that you will also think it's sort of fun. Here we go. It's called, Hey Dude, I Like the Poem. Sun peers through faux wood Venetian blinds. We're tired. Our heads are ringing with residue. We notice the S words are soft and some end hard. There's a sense of everything bleeding together. It's dark when a drum beat reaches into our dreams, maybe even an onomatopoeic ka-chink, ka-chink, ka-chink. I love the evocation of a very specific landscape. I like the repetition. I do like the play between morning and morning. It can complicate the syntactical hierarchies. You have the feel of lips and velvet ears, the scent of gardenia. Things are emphasized when looking at this sort of pocket dimension. I love the concept of the dustbin, but how does the phone feel about being handled by a thoughtless zombie all day? What are the words and behaviors associated with taking such risks? I wonder about the image of silencing someone by breaking their fingers. Maybe the first part about the amber hue, the flowers, etc., is its own poem entirely. The light is always on. I like the way you compare the human body to the machine body. I like the concept of a carnival contrasted with violence. I love the vivid imagery. I like the repetition. This poem is so sweet. This poem is so funny and relatable. I love the range and precision of it. I adore this poem. I'd also love a sensory detail pertaining to smell. Thank you. And now I will turn it over to our excellent MFA poets. Our first reader is Lydia Pejovich, so please join me in welcoming her.
Hi, everybody. I am Lydia Pejovich. I am going to read 3 poems today. One of them, I just leaned on, okay. One of them is more like funny. That's gonna be the final one, so we end on a high note. So yeah, the first one is a haibun, and haibuns are prose poems that end in a haiku. So this will be the first one. This one is called Haibun for Slipping on Tile. There is a sensation of dipping toes into cold water. Goosebumps, speckles, and dots of temperature. Skin reflects environment, and mine is pale. The tile is slippery in the pool house, meaning that when I walk, I slide. Human beings are not living surfboards, but something else entirely. When I fell the first time, you caught me, whispered, "Don't worry, I'm on your side. It is nothing to worry about." As a baby, I crawled backwards and went straight to stepping. You learn to stand quickly when crawling leads you further from the point. Now I fall on purpose, but the first time is usually always the last. The floor catches me when your hands evaporate. Breath, touch, heartbeat, warmth. The ground warms the longer you lay on it. Pools are stagnant. Grounding is much safer than floating. You need to trust in gravity. Don't worry, it's nothing to worry about. The people sleep now, heads fuzzy on their pillows. I rest deeper here. Right? Okay. So the second one's weird. I put a different definition to the word music, so it's not the traditional definition. The title is Music or Bearing Young in a Hard-Shelled Egg. So I'm comparing being born in an egg to music. So that's the poem. So music or bearing young in a hard-shelled egg. Birthing something that can crack, that's encased in a shell or a nonetheless protective home. Hiding, carrying safely. The child stuffed inside a CD case, with breathing holes, of course. Opened up, a music box, crooning the same tune. The container can only contain what will fit inside it, so we contain in pieces and ideas, so long as they fit. A swelling belly, bloated with the ballooning weight of sound, an inflated envelope. Push it and hear the wheeze, the lack of eupnea, uneven respiration. A beak chipping away at the inside, sucking up a yolk made of notes. The child is eating its container. Sound is spilling out. Who fractured the safety? Who bore the young? That's the weird one. Okay, and I have one final one. This one is a meditation. This is called Meditation on Limes and Citrus in General. All right. On my white pants, there are stains from limes, muddled into a mojito, onto my dinner, squirted into my eyes. Acidity makes marks not easily cleaned. Citrus is good, yet in excess can inflame the bladder and redden the scleras. As my mother tells me, everything in moderation can be made good, or at least neutral. The words lemon and lime are quite alike in Spanish and in Italian, but we must consult Latin for the truth. Limon and lima, limone and lime, lemon and calcis, calcification, limestone, the hardening of tissues. Your organs can calcify into stone, especially the aortas of your heart. It may make you less tolerant of sentiment. Some tastes are so similar, yet significantly different, like how I want dark-haired men with beards and my friend loves brown-haired ones with cheeks like children. I think men are like limes, more bitter, good, yet in excess can inflame the bladder and redden the scleras, although with moderation, they can be made good. These things are similar. Men and limes, lemon and limes, vodka lemonade, extra mint mojito. I stain my pants with all, so I view them as altogether the same. Thank you all. The next poet is Anthony Allegretti.
Hello, everybody. I also have 3 poems for you as well. I'm going to start with this first poem entitled Strange Eyes. It is about that one person who did not start off as a stranger, but they became one. Strange eyes. Look at me like you don't know how to look at me. Look at me like you don't have eyes, that instead those holes in your head are windows. Look at me like how I look at you. Look at each other like the color gray, like static, like snowfall, and you can't catch a single flake on your tongue before you get caught in the storm. Look at me like you blame me for the storm. Look at me. Don't look at me with those eyes. I've known where they've been. Don't look at me like I should know why you're looking. Don't look at me like you remember my birthday this time. Don't look at me like you know that your eyes are my favorite color. Look at me like you love the fact that you can take that away from me with just a blink. Look at me like you don't know what my favorite color is. Look at me like you don't look at me. Don't look at me like you look at me. Look at me like nothing. Thank you. Right? This next poem is entitled Ruins. I always think of myself when I see them. Both body and building will eventually turn to dust. I don't see myself as the statue in the center, nor do I want to be the statue in the center. It's more freeing to be allowed to be destroyed. When a city falls apart, you can't put it back together in the same way. The same goes for bodies. I relish in the fragility of myself, cherishing the fact that this body can be torn apart. Thank you. Great, and then this last poem is one that is very special to me. It is entitled House Fire. We're just going to jump into it. I leave home with a rusty knife in my chest. My therapist tells me to stop seeing mother as comfort. I tell her nothing in return. If tongue is matched, I cannot use it to burn my mother. I think of February and its 3rd day. I think of mother and the pain my 10-pound body put her through. I think of dynamite, the boom, the shrapnel, the fumes, my body a bomb shelter getting high off all of them. I think of end after thinking of beginning. Even trauma can be comfort when it comes full circle. You'll always be my firstborn, my mother tells me. It's good to know that you haven't forgotten, I tell her. I am bound to grief, like how others are bound to fate. I think this body came from the womb, wilting. I don't take care of my body. I pass it to others like communion. That's why on days like today, I like to envision a little dirt road and wonder what my life would be like if I never turned around. Thank you. Thank you. Well, on that note, I would love to welcome up to the podium Miles Enriquez Morales, everybody. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Miles. I'm going to start off with a poem called Roots. It is comprised of 2 different parts. And here we go. Roots, part 1. My pregnant mother began craving dirt, parsnip, mushrooms, arugula, but above all else, beets, sanguine, the shade of clotted blood, eaten raw from the can, congealed cylindrical edges, raised red flesh, the closest to soil she allowed herself, heavy with hunger, a ravenous immensity cradled close that gnawed at innards soft and fertile. Did she consider rolling a rock between her cheeks, cool press against her palate? She must have dreamt herself gleeful, plunging calloused palms into the dirt, wetness clung at the cuticle, and the relief, the sheer primal joy of chewing the microbial earth. Part 2. Wearing my body out with vigilance, self-policing, my body, also her body, also my shame. Our body, also the way which I resist, the wilted fate writ in wrinkles, in gene-deep determination. Her body, also my fear, aches and pains and unseen growths, worn and weary. We take our heart to the soil and plant it in the cool, dark night, sewn together, apart. Thank you. My next poem doesn't really have a title. I just make first sentence the title in that case. So I'll just get into it. I have been feeling lately that there is a bit of God in me, not as if I had been made in God's likeness, but as if I had eaten them mindlessly like popcorn, or the way scientists said we all eat a certain amount of spiders in our sleep. One might say there's no way I could fit all of God in my mouth, but I've seen how spinach can shrink from a basketful to a palmful in just a few seconds, and perhaps God is 90% water, and in being eaten, God fit themselves into the shape of my mouth, and for a moment derived language from our consummation. I don't believe in God, but I believe he is everywhere. I believe he is she and that she is they, and the more we try and capture their likeness between our teeth, the more they recede from the night. Lately, I've been feeling hunger pains anew, as if God was not as filling as, say, a steak or a bowl of oatmeal. I wake up hungry for consecration. I wake up from a dream in which my body has become a sacrament, abstracted into absence and tucked between the pages of a 1,000-year-old book. You would think after all that time, I forget that God was ever in me, that we are one and we are none, and nobody is coming to help, and I am all I have. Thank you. Same thing with this last poem. It doesn't have a title, so I just make the first line the title, and it's like the closest thing to like an inspiration poem that I've ever written, so hopefully that's okay. Every day has love in it. Even bad years have lilies in full bloom, popcorn, clean laundry, warm hands, a long pull of water across your throat. Even the sick days leave honey at your doorstep. Even these lungs prone to constriction, holding themselves tight at each bronchi, stretched taut with the fullness of the world like 2 parting lovers. I know you didn't sign up for this life, certainly not one with so much noise and such short nights, but there is love in the stillness of winter. The bad days may seem never ending, but so is the love. Thank you. Up next, we have Fiona Shen.
Thank you. All right, I also have 3 poems, and the first one's a found poem. And it has quite a long title. Our family's shared phone notes app that only I realize is shared. Driving instructor turns out to be a bank robber. Lately, I've thought a lot about heaven. Cheese assortment with honeycomb nectar and cobbler cake with vanilla ice cream. Pingguo, Tao, Mianbao. In Chinese, 66 is very good. In English, 666 may not be too good, but maybe 66,666 is very, very good again. 450 degrees, 10 to 12 minutes, 1739. 120 Liu. Minecraft, but the ground is gravel. Shy co-workers talk to each other through calculators. We are never working the night shift again. Mian fen, tang yo, xiang cao. Panda egg rolls. Robots' batteries are dying. Could do April 2nd. Marilyn then skip April 4th. In lieu of field trip, giving me boys' spring break clear toilet downstairs. Rick the happy plumber, clothes rack target. Kudze, wadze, Wei Jin, dog's nouns. When I paste the lily ponds, 1/4 inch each side of spine folds inwards. I've got nobody else but you, quick patch and orange peel. Men, to do Monday, library dance. One day you're there, Holy Grail. The next one is Shanghai, Obad. It's already tomorrow morning in Shanghai. I've always loved the way this city looks. Shang, above, arising into beginning light, the scent of the Huangpu River like whetstone and loquat. City above the sea. I love the 10 quick strokes. Hai, meaning water, meaning mother. The ocean, the mother of all waters, the mother of straits and of the shimmer of marine lifting, smoothing the strokes of buildings. The bund nudging north towards the Yangtze River, sifting into the Yellow Sea. The morning sun is setting on the Pacific, and this California evening, if I look west, I can see its waters clasping the Yangtze. And then lastly, O.C. Garden Nocturne. This evening, I burned aloes wood and watched the smoke recoil, sink in the breeze, regather and rise to perfume my skin, my hair. The evening is cold, the trees a dark scrawl and a band of clean orange. The trees and the smoke are writing to God, and I wonder why this bitter anise stays caught in my hair and the branches of trees, rather than rising through this thin evening air. You smell of smoke, says my husband. I say, I smell of temples and dark resin and the residue of day clean as ash. I say, I smell of the branches of trees and orange anise and all of us talking with God. Thank you. And our next reader is Diego Garcia.
Hello. Liquor. I said love vaguely, and her eyes lit up like Christmas. That teasing twirl of wanting it to be true, and you whispered it back when my heart was empty, and I looked away. Brushed. When you looked into my eyes, just that feeling that music is being played, with gusto and then quiet. I'm a blank. Enigmatic, on purpose. After I learn its definition, dance harder, smile bigger, feed into any possible meaning I might be. What am I to you? Transformation silence. When I moved, lie, when I moved, lie, when I moved, die, when I moved, die, when I moved, when I lied, when I died, when I, cursive I turning into E, when E moved, he, when E. and dirt drinks. I took a bite out of the moon and made dirt drinks with your face. Can you pick the logical answer between minus and plus? Because on topics of love, I find people chart a series of results from various moments, but I've always felt something full with you, even when I don't love you, because you laugh at my stupidity, introduce me to myself, and continually provide me with something to strive for when I'm just head down in the light dirt, squirming. Thank you. And that brings us to Vesper North.
Hello, I have 3 poems. The first 2 were actually recently published in the autumn issue of Meditating Cat Zine. So this is a poem in 2 parts, Searching. Staring into the nebula of a dead-eyed God, you search for souls so carelessly tossed. The one sacrificed for a deity to which you have no fealty. How else will you find love but in a lost cause? Swimming towards stars, past a pasture of dust, seeking to escape the darkness inside. Oh, how you'd hide under the likes of Eros and Aphrodite, hoping to find rapture in a bedroom. As much as you've had your fill, you find yourself emptier still. 2. What can be done for a creature so undone, longing for respite in the arms of the divine? Maybe, just maybe, you'll be more than our kind. This next one is Let the Forest Gin, and this is after Hades and Persephone. Carved by infinity into a house of scars, the endless days passed in waves, delivering blow after blow, until the canvas of his frame turned violet and blue. He stands an animated corpse, staring twixt the vines, longing for the honey of levity, desperate to know beauty. He wonders how to reach that which is golden, the finest flower of ecstasy, bubbling, bursting, springtime made flesh. Sweet trees drip silky nectar onto the forest floor. How wasted it is, he thinks, lest it fall between lips. He watches as they dip their head in the morning hour, shedding tears to feed the grass. I'm thirsting for more, they say. Give me a sip, he asks, and never let me go. Please, let me go. This last one has a bit of a pause, so if you think it's over, it's not. I'll let you know when. Title is, quote, We Went Through the Top of the Head. This is after Rosemary Kennedy. She lay there, half awake, halfway to death, her scalp exposed. The men prodded her questions whilst drilling through a mowed field of coffeeed fuzz, stubby remnants of silky locks which were sheared and discarded, trash. They asked her things she knew. She answered the best she could. Long ago would be the nights of kisses under a canopy of stars. Far away would be the days of dresses and duchesses, crowns and carriages, soirees and suitors, actresses and planes. No longer would poetry come sweetly off her lips. Deeper they went, penetrating her gray gardens, listening as she sang, God bless America, listening as they sawed, God bless. Everyone stopped. Severed she was, in mind, in body, in love, disappearing at age 23 in just under a second, bound just as Daddy wanted her. What is your name? The doctors asked. She answered the best she could. Thank you. Our next speaker is Emily Velasquez.
Hi, everyone. Today I have 4 poems for you. My first one is titled, I Can't Sleep on the Other Side. A blush of fingerprints traced the moon from my window. Could have been the undoing of a leaf's slow breath curling into sleep. What it could have been, it could have been a shadow by a cricket's door, again, head crescent to a pillow's edge. Another thump by the hallway, then again, it's only the room again. My next poem is an Ars Poetica poem. It's titled, Where Do We Hide Poems? Between exhaustion and dry eyes, in the ums before we try, retry, filling a page, failing to fill a page, fill, find, and nothing happens. Reverse, return, remove, delete, delete, delete. Next poem is titled, Have You Seen the Photo? A shirt stretched for two. A child's arm rests on the father's head. It's stained, under them a bruise that sails to find, to float, to flood the sand in our minds. It's squeezing out of our eyes. Their skin just drowned. Así, nos cubrirá el mar, nos secará con el reflejo de sus caras en cada esquina de nuestra oscuridad. My last poem, I wrote it about my grandma. It's titled, My Grandma's Bag. A perfume of birthmarks listed sideways on my cheek. Your lips, each one streaked in red, you press them to smile, smear them between the wrinkles from the public restroom napkins, miniature notepads written by emergency contacts, 4 bus numbers, street names in Anaheim, doctor appointments scribbled behind a 99-cent store receipt where you bought coloring books for Wednesdays when it was us, and a creased scratcher ticket that says you won $5 at the liquor store, a Wrigley's Winter Fresh dyes in saliva from the 2 packs of cigarettes you bought while you held my hand. Thank you. Our next reader is Deborah Pequin.
Hi, everyone. Should I swim in the ocean today? Should I swim in the ocean today? I always get so scared. When the group's too fast, I end up alone. I can't overcome that fear. The waves are high, the tide is low, the current is especially strong. The surf is big, the swells are large. Will I make it or will I be wrong? I want to go. I'm going to go. Will the water be warm or cold? Should I wear a wetsuit or should I go without? It's so much better to go with none. But if I get too cold and hypothermia sets in, I may not make it back alone. I really want to go. I'm glad when I do, but I just might go to the pool. Yet if I do, I could miss out on something really cool. That's it. I'm going. I'm in the ocean to see the fish and explore. But wait, a shadow. No, not a shadow. Please, not a shark again. It's big and strong and no one's around and I see a dorsal fin. But it's not a shark. It's not a ray. It's a dolphin and her babe. I hear the clicks. I feel them there. They've only come to play. I love the ocean when I survive and experience these magic moments. Yet next week, the debate will start again, and I'll probably end up in the pool. Okay, the next poem is a found poem based on obituaries found in a single day in the Orange County Register. Who will they say you are? The son of Earl and Opal Presson, Navy Seabee, for 4 years on Guam, witnessed nuclear test site in Nevada, spent their retirement years traveling, exploring new places, visiting family and friends. Harry was raised by his mother, Ida, in East Los Angeles. He enlisted in the Navy. Marcia and Harry married after a short courtship, a union that lasted 69 years. A gifted businessman with insatiable work ethic and rugged determination. Harry's love of his family could only be surpassed by his love of ice cream. Daughter of William and Martha Mildred, survived by 13 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. She had a firm yet fair hand, most remembered for her traditional Christmas Eve dinners and embracing her husband's heritage by making traditional Polish dishes. Affectionately known as Betty, born in Glasgow, Scotland, served as a telephonist in the tunnels beneath London during the Battle of Britain. But the favorite activity of her life was dancing. Born to Lino and Ada Koda, his dad set up a hot dog stand. As their fortunes improved, the family started Koda's Italian Ristorante. He loved to fish with his good friend, Don Stringer. He played football on the 1944 Caltech football team, which was undefeated and unscored upon. He loved to rock babies to sleep, read them books. And this is my final poem, A Poetic Moment, sponsored by Wordle. I had a poetic moment this week, all brought about by Wordle. My son just couldn't seem to snap out of the horrible trauma, the malaise. I had a poetic moment this week when I asked my son to show me how to play Wordle. We'd all forgotten how to play. I had a poetic moment this week when I finally saw a spark in my son's eyes. The lightness, the fun of a simple Wordle bot revived a spark of life in my son's eyes. I'm really not a poet yet, but I certainly can appreciate a poetic moment. Thank you. Please welcome our next poet, Hene Chire Kwaku.
Thank you very much, Deborah. My name is Hene Chire Kwaku, and I'm reading 3 poems. The first poem is a short note on writing a joyful poem. Only yesterday, I too pricked my middle finger in making way for love. With water and spittle, made a hex. The Ghanaian flag, once above my bed, now bleeding on my desk. Our forebears, some have said the colors are depleting. The essence depleting. The gold is a curse to our waters, and Atua is dying, so the Chinese can find their bauxite. It is as if everyone who ever came here was in search of their missing treasures. Many have crossed deserts, some buried in dunes, others dehumanized, taken in cages. Until your foolishness, Mr. President, I loved you. You have blamed Russia, Ukraine, the pandemic, everybody else but you and your theft, and your government of your people, daughters, nieces, uncles, nephews, cousins, in-laws, brothers, sisters, and friends. Now you call on us to hunger and pray, to encourage the currency you have struggled to breathe again. Why not lose your grip? But I assure you, my delight today is in this roasted chicken and the coffee cake on my desk. The I love yous of my friends and are you okays of my family. The purple and yellow sticky note of chocolates for the heart, of course. And this is my all-time favorite tea, and you must love it. Thank you. The next poem is titled On Reviving a Withering Dream. Watch the moon from the balcony. Raise your hand. in acknowledgement of your neighbors. We are in this together. Listen to Sibisa and let the nostalgia take over. In your grandfather's dream, he breathes into you a proverb. The oracle says a proverb is a currency, the key to your wealth. But you return from the market each day with your proverb lodged in your molars and a rumbling in your stomach. Your life theme song plays from a broken record player. Heaven knows where we are going. It's stuck on repeat, but you're not one who leaves a map on the precipice of a dying ship's anchor. Each day you bury a dream, you bury a crumb of you with it. A nail from the index finger, 3 strands of hair, a cell from your eyes, cotton from the hem of your favorite purple shirt, a blow of stardust. In this alchemy, a dream springs into iron. A proverb is exchanged for water. In the algebra of living, a dream too is offered water. Amen. And the last poem I'm reading is Someday I'll Love Kwekuche, after Roger Reeves, Ocean Vuong, and Claire Swarth. Kweku, you have loved, and you have been loved. Where the skin did not break is where it blackens. Give thanks, Kweku. Give thanks to the trees and the wind that gives them rhythm, to the birds that learn to make a home where the trees are cut, to your morning glory and your dreams. The sun envies the oil that pours on your head every morning, Kweku. Someday it will descend, it will bow. The lonely hours are your freedom. Feed a squab, and it will sing when you need a song. Break an egg, break a spell. You have killed your song. When you meet God, tell him you know why he sent them out of the garden. Kweku, don't say he needed it all for himself. Don't tell him. Let him wonder. He's God. He made a man he knew wouldn't listen. He made a world he knew he would have to destroy. Let him wonder. Tell him he is not God if he needs an answer from you. Kweku, you have loved. You've been undone. You're here. Thank you. Everybody did I. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jay. I also have 3 poems for you. This first one is called Anti-Personification. The curve of each tree is a record of wind and sun, a memory of what the earth said. Each river winds the same, encoding memory and erosion, creation and destruction. In this way, things are already books without language. I am a dust storm of 1,000,000 particles. I am suspended in air. I float on a current of sunbeams. I am always falling down in violence, and I coat things in myself too. I leave little pieces of my body on everything. I am like water. I change shape, but I am unique in this. I remember. Time flows like wood around my skin. The oars grow difficult. Night closes in and the earth is dying. Sickly smell in the air like a rotting mango, musty yet sweet. Here is a battle, sweat, heat, and firepower against the setting sun. Things only fall down because they want to. Do you remember being born? This next poem is called Types of Girls, and it was just published in Calliope yesterday. So thanks. If you haven't had a chance to check out Calliope yet, go check it out. It's a great issue. So yeah, here it is. Types of girls. Girls with deep voices, penis girls, my heart swoons. I only want to be around trans girls now and forever until death. If only there were enough of us. Self-replicating girls, girls made of plastic and metal, girls made of silicone, hologram girls. Pink is so 2000s. We want infrared. We want ultraviolet. We want the full electromagnetic spectrum as our own. X-ray girls, gamma ray girls, girls that will straight up kill you with enough exposure. Girls that don't exist. hyper-real girls, girls made of spectacle and spiro, girls crawling like snails, leaving mucus trails behind, girls summoned in a circle of salts, girls refusing to go home, girls who exist as darkness, girls made of malice, hatred given form, spite condensed into sprite, girls with soul to spare, girls headless, dripping blood, girls with wounds, girls who cannot die, girls who cannot be killed, girls who are ideas, girls made of memes, girls who pass through a dual slit screen, girls who become wave or particle depending on who's watching, girls who were predicted by the standard model, girls who feel more natural existing in a state of probability, girls who have a known speed and unknown position, girls colliding in a shower of quarks and neutrinos, girls whose existence science is just now confirming, girls whose lives are the dreams of a butterfly. Thank you. And this last one is called 4 Sonnets on Psychogeography and the Wild Woman Archetype. It's made out of 4 sonnets. Underneath the map prowls the wild woman, the wolf girl, neither animal nor human. She lives hidden deep within the dark corners, afraid to be seen. Vision is death for her. Life depends on staying unknown. I have been the wolf girl, and I will be again. I want to hear sine waves and rustling leaves on a warm afternoon, to talk with the unknowable. 2. The wolf girl walks the city, standing tall and smiling. Her mangled speech is welcome, her jagged face lost in a sea of broken mirror makeup. Even the animals are human here. When she goes looking for bones, she finds only ghosts. Alone and empty-handed, she has no one to sing tonight under crescent moon, no corpse to stitch back to life. Maybe the city is clean after all. The only bones are her own. 3. She asks where I come from, who poured the asphalt, who spoke these sidewalks, who tells me what to speak. She lives where the city hides, where grasses go wild, and potholes widen into kaleidoscopic night. Throw out the map and wander. She guides you to her home when all else is quiet and thoughts spin like light through a glass of water. Throw out the map and wander. 4. I am the wild woman, collecting bones on the roadside. These highways scatter corpses like dust. I hear howling from beyond. I hear each bone in time, rib cage, sternum, fibula, skull. The vultures have had their way. I must hunt. I know these bones. I know what song will bind them into flesh once more, the words of rebirth. I hear whispers in the passing sky. I no longer want to die. Thank you. And next up is Genevieve.
Thank you all for sharing such fantastic and inspiring and wonderful work tonight. It was such a great way to end a semester by just lifting up our voices and sharing all of our ideas. So it was so nice to be here with all of you. I know that there's been a lot of applause so far, but why don't we have just one more final round of applause for all of our readers? I also just want to thank Linda for joining us tonight and Julia for arranging all of the logistics for this event. And all of you for coming and being here and listening and supporting and looking happy while we read you our poems. This is officially the end of the evening, but there are snacks, and I encourage you to eat these delicious snacks and mingle and tell the poets how much you love their brilliant work. So don't leave right away, just hang out and talk about poetry. Thanks, everybody.